Welcome back to the Polarr Next channel. My name is Aaron Nahara, head of content with Polarr, and today we're thrilled to welcome McKenna, an intimate wedding and elopement photographer based out of Wisconsin. McKenna is not just a photographer, but she's also a storyteller and dedicated elopement planning assistant who is with her clients every step of the way to create that authentic wedding day experience. In this interview, McKenna shares her thoughts about Polarr Next, our new AI photo editing program, and how its cutting-edge technology might revolutionize her editing process. If you're an adventurous spirit who loves to explore new technology, you'll find McKenna's insights incredibly inspiring. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more exclusive content and insights. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another interview video. Today, I have a very special guest, McKenna. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to talk about Polarr. We're going to talk about editing, photo editing, all that good stuff. But before we jump into it, McKenna, I want you to introduce yourself, who you are, and what you do.
I'm McKenna. I am an adventure elopement and destination wedding photographer. I do a lot of travel work all over with a ton of different settings and colors and all different lighting scenarios and everything like that. So especially with doing a lot of destinations and travel and being on the move all the time, I'm definitely looking to speed up my editing process and then also just streamline it all so that I can get photos back to couples as soon as I can.
Nice. So elopement photography, is that something that was always the goal when you started in photography, or is it something you kind of evolved into, fell into, stumbled upon?
Well, I started photography pretty young. So being in high school when I started, it was really just kind of grew with me and I didn't know where it was going to go. But I found elopement photography in about 2020 when a lot of people did. And I moved a lot of my big weddings into something smaller. And I really started to love traveling as much as I could once I was in a corporate job and had more time and money to do so. And then photography just kind of grew with that, and being able to photograph weddings in incredible places and meet people just all over the country was kind of a side effect of growing my business in that way.
Before you got into elopement, you said you had moved a lot of your big weddings into smaller ones. So before elopements, were you just mainly focusing on weddings in your area?
Yes, I was doing weddings and couples. I started in families, but I realized that as much as I still enjoyed families, I really loved the creative aspect of working with couples and working with adults.
Yeah. And I can imagine moving into elopement, you're just working with the couple and you're kind of like not just helping to coordinate the wedding, but like travel plans or like researching areas and venues and stuff like that. Like, is that your bread and butter? Like, you love doing that?
Yeah, I also help my couples with a lot of planning ahead of time and finding vendors in the area and networking in that way. And then also just doing research on really incredible locations in the location that they want to go, because a lot of times they're traveling as well.
All right. So like, how many years span has it been? I know you said 2020 is when you got in, so it's like 4 years now. But like in general, wedding photography, how long has that been?
General wedding photography, it's been about 8 years now.
8 years. And so within that time, I know we don't talk about gear much here, but like, what has your gear been like? Like, what did you start with? And then like, where are you at right now?
I started my business and actually worked for many years on a Rebel T3.
Wow.
And I upgraded after a couple years. I upgraded to the Canon 80D and was using some of their luxury lens lines, so the 50 1.2 and 24 to 70. And then just recently, 2 years ago, I upgraded to the Canon R6 and moved all of my gear to mirrorless, and I've loved it ever since.
Did you create your own style? Did you jump off from a preset that you found? How did that look come about for you?
I started with presets when I was initially learning editing and just kind of trying to figure out all the color toning. But I tried so many different presets and I felt like they just weren't really right for what I was looking for. So now I create my own presets and go off of those.
Now we're jumping into other programs out there. We've got AI coming out, and it still feels like it's kind of in its infancy. It's been at least like, let's see, I can't imagine when I first started using Imagine. I think it was around like 2021 or 2022. It's crazy how fast time flies. But have you gotten a chance to try that or Aftershoot or any other AI programs?
Yeah, I was playing around with Imagine last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I I felt so about it. I felt like it definitely did a good job with those initial edits, but I was always adjusting after the fact. It was never something that it felt quite right to my style. It still
Mm-hmm.
felt like it was a little too extreme for what I was going for.
They give you the ability to upload, there are thousands and hundreds of photos to create your style. And then, the more that you re-upload afterward to like keep dialing it in, did that interest you at all? Did you feel like it would take too much time to keep having to adjust it and upload photos and stuff?
Yeah, I was doing that. And I
Mm-hmm.
was at the point because it almost like I want to say it's every 1,000 photos after that initial 3,000
Mm-hmm.
that it starts to update the software. And even after those software updates, it just wasn't feeling like it was where I wanted it to be yet.
Mm-hmm. And did you try Aftershoot at all with that? Trying to make
I've
your
not tried Aftershoot.
profile. Mm. Yeah, well, I didn't really do much with Imagine. After the first couple months, I was like, okay, let me try something else. It was mainly because of money, because Aftershoot with culling and editing, it was like $50 a month. So I was like, oh, that's way cheaper than what I was paying with Imagine. And then, like you said, I had to keep uploading. I think at the time it was 2,500. I'm not sure if Aftershoots changed that, but it was 5,000 initially, and then 2,500. And I did it for like 6 months, and I got a somewhat working profile. Like I got something to where I was content with. But what was hard for me was just not being able to see it in real time. Like, okay, if I upload these 1,000, like what's gonna change about my profile? Like, I can't really track that, and because we're the creatives we are, like we want to be able to see like all the changes, what does what, like how do we get, as you said, that matted nostalgia look, you know what I mean? Like how do we tweak it so we can get that? And it's hard to really have that control when you're just uploading 1,000 images and then the AI, you know, adjusts or updates and then it comes back down to you. So like that was something that was like hard for me, but I did it because, we need to save time. And as we're getting busier with our business, we want the bookings, but then we're also going to be spending more time editing. Did you ever consider hiring another person to edit for you, or like an actual service where they edit for you?
Yeah, I've been tossing that idea around. I'm getting very busy this fall. It's
Mm-hmm.
always my busiest time of the year in fall. And I've been tossing the idea of working with another editor. I very much am a perfectionist, so I'll end up going
Yeah.
through rounds of editing where I'm like tweaking things just 1 or 2 points at a time, and then you don't even see the changes that I'm making except I do. So that part of it too, I feel like the same thing that you were just saying with not being able to tell what's actually changing in the
Yeah.
setting when you're just uploading a profile and can't see any adjustments.
Yeah. Well, during this interview, I kind of share with you during our initial call, I would love to hear your honest feedback, because, with Polarr Next and the things that we're going to dive into and look at, like it's, one of the things that I love about it is being able to see those steps. And when you mark a reference and see what the AI updates, and you can go back a step and see the differences. But then that could also be a double-edged sword, because you are a perfectionist. You could spend a lot of time like constantly trying to like update and fiddle and adjust, and you've got a very busy fall coming up. So, out on one end, we're trying to speed up your workflow, but on the other, you still need to have some type of solution that can like allow you to like move it forward quicker and move on. So
Absolutely.
so we're doing the advanced setup. with Polarr Next, and already we're in this setup process. So what the AI has done is it selected, what is this, 7 images for you to edit. And one question we have is like, are these based on like the best images, or like what is the criteria? And it's literally just based on the different lighting scenarios from the wedding day. So this session right here, I know there's 158, but it looks like we've got different ones from the ceremony to the sunset photos to like a later reception. Where was this taken at?
This is in Wisconsin. This was actually just 2 days ago.
Oh, nice. 2 days ago in Wisconsin. That looks beautiful. That looks really
Yeah,
cool.
it's my favorite time of the year here. With summer is just gorgeous. You have all the colors and wildflowers and everything's bright and beautiful.
Love it. Okay. So, because you're just starting out, you're going to have all these blue bubbles popping out, and it's always good to just kind of read them, look through them. But for this recording, you don't have to, but it's showing you your references on the left. It's showing you your presets and how you can load them in from Lightroom. And then at the bottom, it talks to you about the suggested photos. Like I had said, represents the diverse lighting from the day. So we can press done. And what are your initial thoughts real quick about the UI? Does it feel familiar? Does it kind of feel
Yeah, I
foreign?
think it's pretty representative of what I'm used to.
Mm-hmm. Nice. First off, on the left side, you can see history. And this is what we love, to be able to see those steps of what the AI does to your images. And you can see that it says original and then auto lighting and white balance on the left. And by default, Polarr Next will apply like auto lighting and white balancing to your images during the setup process. How do you feel it's done with like these images?
I think it's a little brighter than I normally edit,
Mm-hmm.
but it looks pretty accurate to the environment.
Do you ever use like auto lighting and white balance in Lightroom?
Once in a while, the white balance a little bit, but not super often.
Okay. All right. So if in the future, in the bottom left corner is that gear cog, you can click that and you'll find the area where you can turn off those settings. So in the editing tab on the left side, there it is. So auto lighting white balance, you can always turn that off if you don't like it. And then also in setup at the bottom, in the setup tab, only during this portion where you're editing these references, we have it also on apply preset to all suggested photos. So if you had a Lightroom preset and you wanted to use it in these edits, when you click it, it'll apply it to all the images. And I know like in Lightroom, sometimes we'll apply different presets to different images. So if you tend to do that, then it might be a good thing to turn off. But for now, do you have a Lightroom preset you want to bring in?
I did, yeah. I
Okay.
made 2 to bring in today from
Okay.
the sneak peeks that I did of this wedding.
Okay,
Oh,
cool.
wait.
Let's do it.
Oh, they were DNGs. Does that not work?
They gotta be XMPs. So if you go into like Lightroom and you go to the preset panel, when you hit export, then those files should be able to be perfect. We'll go import Lightroom preset. All right, there it is. There. So once you clicked it, preset's been applied. So just warning you, letting you know. You did turn off auto lighting and white balance. So,
No, I didn't.
oh, you didn't. Okay. So what it did
I
is,
looked at it, but I don't think I clicked it off.
okay. Well, just to explain it. So when you clicked it,
Okay, sorry.
you can see on the history on the left side, it applied preset 4C with tone curve, and then it applied the auto lighting and white balance on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So click that step below the auto real quick. Apply where it says apply preset for C. Go ahead and click that. So what do you think about like this initial application of your preset? Do you feel like it's kind of similar to Lightroom, or is it got to
I
take
think
some work to get it back?
it's definitely more intense than the Lightroom.
Okay.
Like I think when I do it in Lightroom, it's more, ugh, go back to this. Somewhere in between like here and what it just looked like.
Interesting. Sorry, yeah. So you can see that lighting and white balance keep jumping in there. That's why I
Yep.
usually turn it off, just because like I don't really need it.
Do you want me to turn it off?
Yeah, because I don't want to see you like struggle with it because it'll keep jumping in there, and there you go.
Just going back and forth.
Yeah. But that's good feedback. I honestly have been feeling like when I apply presets in Polarr Next, it can be a little bit aggressive with it.
Yeah.
Usually we'll talk with our users, and when they apply presets, obviously, we don't have the secret sauce that Lightroom has to be able to give one-to-one, results like you'll get in Lightroom. And, some people are okay with it and they're just like, that's fine. I understand, and I'll just kind of adjust it to however I need it. And then I'll create a new preset version of it in Polarr Next.
Yeah.
But
I think
then
that's what I would end up doing here.
that's good. Yeah. And in this case too, it's smart to be able to adjust the strength of it. I have a LUT film pack where it has like different looks from different films, like No Country for Old Men, or Joker, or Her. And I found with like the lookup tables, when I can adjust the strength of it, then it really like dials it in and looks good. So
Yeah.
for those watching, just play with the strength slider on the left side and then get it to where you're looking for. So this is kind of looking more like what your results are that you're used to.
Yeah, I do a lot with masking, so I'm excited to try masking here.
Yeah. I love how fast our masking can be too.
Yeah,
When you apply it.
that instantly was faster than Lightroom.
Yeah. And what's great too, so right now you're editing these to be marked as references. So what'll happen is that not only the settings in like the editing panel will be copied over to the similar images, but also your masks. So it's good to be able to mask your subjects or whatever you need during this setup process, so that
That's
when you hit
really nice.
finish, it'll apply all over to the other images. All right. And then, yeah, so you'll click that to get out of the masking menu. What is your favorite lens to shoot weddings? Notice you have like the 28-70.
Yeah, so this is my 28-70. It's been my go-to,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm debating moving back to the 24-70 only because of the weight of it. I love this lens, but it's so heavy.
I actually recently shot a 4-hour wedding, and my second was using, I believe she was using the 28-70. It's pretty huge, right? Like pretty
Yeah,
massive
and I
being
do a
f2.
lot of long wedding days. This one was an 8 hour, but that's pretty short for me.
Yeah.
And it's a lot to carry around. Like my wrist hurts at the end of the day.
Yeah, she was like, yeah, check this out. And I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta use like two hands to just be comfortable with it all day. And then like I showed her
Yeah,
mine because I just use primes, and she's like, oh my gosh, it just feels like a toy.
yeah. The other one that I go to a lot is my 35 millimeter.
Nice. Is that one 1.2 or 1.4?
1.4.
Okay. Do you guys have a 35 1.2? I
I
think
don't think so.
just 50 and 85. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Nice.
I feel like this is looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Oops.
You just attacked it really fast. I love it.
I love how quick it works with me.
Yeah. I one thing I like to tell people is like it's not just the AI that like you get the benefit of using this program. It's just how fast it is just going around the program itself and checking out different things. You can see it kind of chopped off the arm there a little bit where he's doing his little fist pump.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like that happens with all masking though when the lighting is
mm,
difficult.
yeah.
I mean, that happens to me in Lightroom all the time.
And then one other like quality of life thing we have, if you press done on that blue bubble,
Oh yeah.
there you go. And then go back into the mask menu. Kind of go to the mask one, hover over mask one. On the right side, you'll see a pencil and you can rename the mask. So if you have like specific, things you're working on, like hair or like eyes or whatever, you can rename it. And you can not only rename the group, but also like the specifics in there. So,
So
within that,
my question in here, is it possible to mask separate people?
no, we don't have that yet to be
Yeah.
able to
Okay.
choose between. Yeah.
Yeah, I find that I think that would be super helpful because I find especially if I'm working on a couples or wedding session with
Hmm.
people with two different skin tones, that can
Okay.
be really nice to have separate masks on each.
Okay. Yeah. When I was using Lightroom last year, like it's crazy. I haven't jumped in since November, but I was in when they did have when you can select your mask and it'll show like the faces of the people, then you can like select them to create
Yeah.
the masks. That makes sense. That's
Yeah,
that.
I think that's a fairly newer feature, but then you can also select like just their face or their skin or
Hmm.
their hair or whole person or anything like that. And it is very, very convenient when you're working with a lot of subject masking.
How much masking do you do? It's quite a heavy part of your
Almost every
workflow.
photo.
Nice.
It's a huge my workflow, yeah. I think that's pretty solid for this one.
Yeah, that's really good.
So
And yes, so you'll
I
hit.
marked with a reference, correct?
Hmm. Cool. And so when you mark it here as a reference, again, you're just training. Oh, there you go. So you're just marking these as a reference. It won't apply any updates to any of the images on the film strip here. Once you hit finish, though, that's when the AI will then edit everything else. So
Okay.
with these specific ones, because there are different lighting scenarios, it won't. So what you could do if you want to get the same look here, you can just copy edits on the left side and then yeah, I can go copy and then just go to the next image and then paste. And that's what I'll usually do when I'm setting up. And then it probably also copied over that mask as well. So you just want to make sure. It's pretty good. Like it just copied over and bam.
Pretty darn good.
What is your biggest bridal party? Like how many people?
Ooh, this one was fairly big since I do a lot of smaller weddings now, but I had one where there was like 11 on each side, I think.
Man, it's crazy when it gets that big.
Yeah.
it's like also one thing too is when I sit down with couples that have like big, because I'm on Maui, and a lot of times they love to have their whole family, part of it. But
Yeah.
when you have like 13 on each side, it's like you do realize we got to move 26 people. Like we
Mhm.
got to move and set them
I
up
felt
and
so bad at this wedding because I was like yelling at everybody. And then as I'm leaving, the bride was like, "Thank you so much for just yelling at us and telling us where to go." Because when you have that many people, you kind of have to take charge.
yeah, yeah. I've yet to experience like a bridal party that just was checked out. For the most part, everyone's dialed in and they just understand the assignment. They're there to celebrate their friends, and so they'll just play
I
along.
don't think I can say the same with that one.
Mm,
A lot of Wisconsin, fun fact, is especially known for heavy drinking.
okay.
So a lot of weddings get a little bit crazy,
Before
but
even
it's
the
always fun.
ceremony.
So, oh yeah,
So I would venture to guess you probably had a groom kind of like tipsy up at the altar.
absolutely. And I mean, everybody loves it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It just requires a little bit more coordination on my part.
I did have a reception where one of the groomsmen, like I was taking pictures and he comes up, he's like, "Can I take pictures?" And it was just in the moment. And I felt like just going along with it for fun. Later on, I was thinking, okay, that could have been bad, because he had a couple of drinks, he could have tripped or whatever. But he starts going around trying to take pictures, and he's like so gone. He doesn't realize that he doesn't even have my camera turned on. So he's like putting his eye up to it.
Gosh,
And then I just have my flash and I just fire my flash as if he's taking pictures. Um,
that's
but
so funny.
I was like, I kind of wish I had him turn it on because it would have been fun to see those pictures he took. But it was still
Yeah.
pretty funny to make him feel like he was taking pictures. I was just firing the flash.
That's so funny. I do feel like every time that anybody asks to take pictures with my camera, I let them do it. It's one
Uh,
of my favorite things in family sessions, if you have like younger kids, to ask them if
wow.
they want to try using the camera because kids just love it. It's so funny.
I don't um, promote or really post anything family. Usually the families I work with are like my past wedding couples or whatever. And
Hmm.
so when I do get that next family session, I'm going to remember that because that's like a really fun idea. That's really cool.
I just had a family session. I also don't promote it very often.
Okay.
Um, but I just had a family session where there were these two twin girls and they were having so much fun taking pictures of each other and posing for the pictures for each other.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
ended up being like some of my favorite pictures of the entire session because they were just having a blast and then they weren't nervous because it was each other and it was really cute.
Yeah, I like this thread that we're pulling on here. It's kind of inspiring because, like, as the photographer, it's always like assumed, you're the one taking the pictures and stuff like that. But to get people comfortable sometimes, like, it takes things like that, because, like, when
It really does. And
yeah,
that's such a huge part of our jobs.
yeah, yeah. And if you could provide the equipment for them to take like nice photos, you're still like being used, your expertise is still there, I feel. But like, when I'm doing bride and groom photos and I've got the bridal party and we're just, doing bridal party photos and like maybe individuals with the bride, I like to get them to like, strike a pose or do something that they like to do when they're taking selfies or something like that. Like bring in that like
Mhm.
familiarity and then they kind of just start to break out. It might be fun to be like, hey, I've got a camera. You guys take pictures of each other real quick or something. Might be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like it's not something I usually wait kind of towards the end of the session or something like that. I don't want somebody asking the entire time. But if
Hmm.
somebody has interest, I just think it's a fun way to get everybody feeling like they're comfortable.
Hmm.
Okay,
Man,
I
I'm
am noticing, you probably
okay.
see what I'm doing here, but I am noticing that the subject mask on some of it is a little bit like over the
Oh,
edge.
okay.
Not a huge amount, but just a tad.
Yeah,
I
I'm just
put
like
it in
watching
this
you
one
just
as well.
click on the show overlay in the mask menu right at the bottom there. Click that real quick. Okay, yeah, you can kind of see that going
So I can come in
into.
here with a brush and just clean it up,
Hmm. Yeah, and
and
what's
it
on right now
cleans
is
pretty nice.
the auto mask is on. So like when it gets to the hair bits, it might look a little choppy, like on top of the bride's head. And it's
Yep.
because on the right side it's got auto mask on. And you can turn that off if you want, but it does a really good job on the veil, like being able to separate that hard line.
Yeah, I think, I mean, even in the hair a little bit, because I don't mask too
Hmm.
extreme, it works pretty well to just clean up those edges.
Yeah. So
I
I'm
did
curious, are
reference.
you using your keyboard shortcuts at all?
I am not right now. I'm pretty
Okay,
much doing
just
everything with my
mouse.
mouse.
Okay. Yeah, because we when you got into the mask and I saw you like making it bigger and smaller, I was like, oh, I wonder if she's just like going using the keyboard for that. But
Because I am on my laptop all the time, I don't have my full desk set up. I am
mhm,
so quick with my trackpad.
nice. That is a skill in itself, gotta say.
I was an interior designer. And in college, I did everything designing in like Autodesk and Revit and all these
Uh
things
huh.
with my trackpad. And all of my classmates were just shocked because it can be so frustrating and finicky.
Wow. Well, we definitely need to listen to your feedback. The more you play with this, and would love to hear what your thoughts are as far as using the program and utilizing the different keyboard shortcuts and stuff. We haven't
Yeah,
fully.
I love how quick the masking is
That's awesome.
instead of sitting there and waiting for it to load.
Hmm. Yeah, and especially like when you're in Lightroom and you're batch syncing and you've got like a mask in there, you gotta like wait for it to recalculate.
Oh, it
Um,
takes forever.
yeah, and it's just fast with this. For your masking, I can see it kind of went over some of the branches and stuff like that. You're not too um you don't care too much about like it being perfect.
For me, I don't mind because I don't do anything too extreme. If I feel like something like right now, I'm kind of seeing right
Hmm.
over here, it's popping out a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll go back in and go over it again. But if it goes over the trees or something, I'm not making anything too overly bright
Yeah.
or dark where it sticks out.
Nice.
I basically look back when I'm looking later, and if I'm seeing like a strip of bright white that doesn't make any sense, then I'll go in and adjust. But if it goes over the trees, not doing anything that you're going to notice.
Hmm. Nice.
So where you say the auto mask was on, where was that?
On the right side in the mask menu, go down on the left or not on the left,
Oh, I
right
see
there.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just starting to see some lines in here. So
Hmm. Yeah, and that strength slider on the mask was a feature that one of our interviewees had requested as well. So I love
yeah, I
it.
like the strip slider a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, what I usually do too
Nice if you feel
sometimes
like you went a
is,
little too intense.
yeah. And even with so within that mask, like say you do a subject mask and I don't know, you're under a red umbrella or something like that, you can create a subject mask and then scroll down and then you have point color. So you can drop it on your client's skin and then adjust their skin tones
Oh,
without
that's very
affecting
nice.
all the other, yeah. And then of course,
Yeah,
when you
that's
mark it
really
as a
nice.
reference, that'll be adjusted on the other images as well. So, and then to delete it, you just right click it and then hit delete swatch.
This one's pretty good right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm curious. Like
Right.
ones like that, I gotta like take it bit by bit.
Yeah.
That like stubborn little orange spot.
It happens all the time when it's on the edge.
Yeah. I'll have to give some more feedback on that too. I wonder if like, does that happen in Lightroom still too?
All the time. Yeah. I struggle with that one a lot in Lightroom. Oh, that came out nice though.
Yeah, that looks good. Nice. Such nice lighting on their skin.
Yeah, that golden hour was perfect.
It's crazy how like scenes like this, when you're in the moment can seem, like not like the most crazy or the most exotic or whatever, but it's just so pretty like right here. It's just like, I don't know, it works really well for the look.
Honestly, I can't speak. Perspective of the camera is crazy. I
Hmm.
love it. Okay, I
All
forgot to
right.
set some of those references, so I'm gonna go back and do that quick.
I still seem to do that from time to time.
Okay,
All righty.
so now they're
So
all reference edits.
perfect. So now that you're all done, you'll hit finish AI style setup. And then, of course, this is our little warning saying, hey, the AI is going to make some mistakes. There's a reason why, like, imagine an after shoot ask you for thousands of images to train your profile, because it honestly does take hundreds and thousands to really dial in, the AI's capability to edit like you. So, with that being said, what's great is that you don't have to wait for all these to process. You can just literally jump right in as it's processing and begin to make adjustments. And I find there's like two different types of people. There's ones where they'll just jump in, find ones, and start making adjustments. Or there's those who will go all the way to the beginning because they'll like work from left to right, and then
Yep.
they'll edit from the beginning. So, with that being said, in this moment, so you're gonna start to fine tune things. Go to your settings on the bottom left, because there's a setting we gotta turn off for you. So go to processing, and then forward only processing. So forward only processing really works well for those who work from left to right, because as you edit from left to right, the AI is only going to edit or make adjustments moving forward. So like with this image here, try look on your history panel. You can see original, and then from original, that's the AI style that was applied. And then you made all the adjustments like exposure, temperature, blacks. Oops, there you go. And where you're at now with saturation and temperature at the top. So it automatically locked your photo. And the reason why it locks your edit is, say if you went to the image before this to 3.8 or 8.3.1, if you like drop the temperature all the way down to cold, and let's do this for example. Say you do that and then hit mark as a reference. The AI is going to find the similar ones and make it cold, but notice it skipped 8.3.3. That's the reason why we
Okay.
lock it, because we know that you did something. So to get out of this, to undo everything, just undo. Yeah, there you go. And then for this, click back. There you go. You got it. You're a professional. And then one thing
I
too,
love how easy it is.
go ahead and go to the top right and unlock it. There you go. And go to the next image, 8.3.3, and say like you jumped in, you made adjustments, hit mark as reference here, and the AI should be able to go backwards also. So there you go. And you just updated all those similar images. I'm curious too with the subject mask, why it's on the edges so blooming, like.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see that in his hair here.
Yeah, that's definitely something I can bring up to our devs. Be like, hey, check this out. I was doing an interview and this is happening.
I am super impressed with this right now.
That's really good to hear. I'm glad.
It's so much nicer than like going in and copying and pasting your edits and then making adjustments to every single one.
Yeah. Yeah. And, that was like my big thing with, Imagine and Aftershoot, because, I think their tech is like pretty great and they can do some good things. But at least in those ones, they still have to utilize Lightroom. And Lightroom's nothing wrong with it. It's been the standard for sure. But as far as like speeding up the workflow, being something that like you need, like it's great. They have a lot of great features. Like we talked about, being able to select different people, eyes, iris, eyebrows. And then you've got like features where you can adjust the depth of field or add blur. But those are things that I hardly ever touch, as far as like, I don't really need to
Yeah,
add
the
blur.
amount they're used, like you said, we
Mm-hmm.
really need to speed up our process. And I feel like that's a
Mm-hmm.
constant issue with photographers. Editing just takes so long.
Yeah.
I just can imagine using this on the road, how quickly it would help like get sneak peeks out or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm constantly like editing in the airport and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my computer will die fairly quickly.
Interesting. Does it die from using like Lightroom or like these heavier programs?
Yeah, I recently upgraded my computer, so that's helped.
Okay.
But before, it would die within 10 minutes if I opened up Lightroom or Photoshop.
Oh man.
I mean, the battery was shot on it where it would
Yeah.
die easily no matter what, but specifically anytime I would go into my Adobe programs, I had to be plugged in.
So I'll switch this over. All
Okay.
right. So yeah, what was like your raw experience using Polarr Next?
I think it was great. I think it works really fast, which I commented on a couple times as I was doing it, but it's really nice to be able to see the edits live and to be able
Yeah.
to let it edit everything without sitting there and copying each setting, especially with masking. I that slows down my process so much when I'm copying and pasting or syncing settings.
And like what are like some of the major pain points, at least for you, like when you're editing in Lightroom? Like what are those like things that you just, I wish they would do better, and it would just make the experience overall better in Lightroom?
Speed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like all of like I mentioned it a couple times as well. I do a lot of subject masking, so I like the way that it works in editing in Lightroom, but I just hate how slow it is and how
Mm-hmm.
clunky the software feels when you like anything goes wrong and it just kind of halts your whole process or anything like that. Um, I feel like you can't be on it for a very long time. All of a sudden the computer's you can tell it's just working hard, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I can imagine your laptop turning into like a jet engine, just like, like
Yeah.
going. Okay. So then, just with this experience with Polarr Next, do you feel like it addressed some of those pain points already that you feel like, wow, this is so like refreshing or just faster?
Absolutely. I just love how light it feels when you're
Hmm.
going through the editing. It just feels very easy and quick. And I love that the software still feels familiar when you go in and you see the user experience. It still
Hmm.
feels like it was kind of intuitive to me to go where I needed to go to make adjustments.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So I won't ask you the big question whether, this would replace, because I feel like your workflow is something that has been part of your business for however many years. But do you see Polarr Next something that like you might be able to transition to? Like, is it at a place right now you'd feel comfortable delivering client work out of?
I definitely like to try it. I think
Hmm.
um at this point, like you said, I'm very comfortable in my workflow. So even though it takes longer than I'd like it to, it'd
Yeah.
be hard for me to do one big transition immediately. But
Hmm.
I definitely like to do a couple sessions at a time and kind of see how I can build on it and see how quickly I can adjust to this software. I mean, just based off of this being my first time, it feels like it'd be very fast.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
I mean, we just barely scratched the surface too, because you created your AI style. And, once you finish that session, that style is going to live on. And we actually, you know what? If you can you bring up Polarr Next one more time?
Absolutely.
I do want to show you something. Let me jump back into the stream real quick. We now have a new My AI Styles tab. So on the left side, you can see, there you go. That is what you just did. So it shows you your 14 references. It gives you a thumbnail of what your styles or what the images look like, whatever. And so the next time that you have a session, you can just click use AI style, and then you can easily just drag the folder in, and the AI will
Nice.
already start editing in that style. So,
So this leads up to another question. For this example, I had this folder on my desktop, but
mhm.
if I'm using a external hard drive like I typically do, does the hard drive need to stay plugged in once they're all uploaded here?
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
does it
And
create like smart views?
no, it does need to stay connected, because when you're importing your images, even though we're utilizing Google Chrome and everything, nothing is being sent to a cloud server or anything like that to be edited, like Imagine or whatever. Um, what's happening is
Yeah.
if you were to go on your desktop and you looked in that folder for Alex, um, you'll find a catalog file and a style file. And that's where all your adjustments and things were saved to. And it's literally just using your RAWs. So it's not like adjusting your RAWs or anything. It's just touching on the catalog file. But yeah, there are no
Gotcha.
smart previews or one-to-one previews or anything being built. So
Okay.
yeah,
Good to
there
know.
is that. But also, like you said, that style file, that was it, Al plus Alex, the style that you named, that style
Yes.
file is also in the folder. So,
Okay. I
that.
come.
So if you click that blue folder right there and then go all the way to the bottom, there's your catalog file and then the style file. So those are
Nice.
totally
Okay.
able to be backed up. When you move your files off your computer to external, whatever, definitely copy those. And then that dot style file is great because you can easily, share that with anyone in the community. You could market it eventually,
Mm.
things like that. So, yeah. And then you always have it, because if you go back to the My Styles tab, so those will show you all like the latest styles. And I still got to get all the information on it, but I believe it's not permanent. So like, say if you're on your desktop right now and you're going to go
Yeah.
travel and you want to work on this session, you would have to copy that exact folder with the RAWs, the catalog file, and the style file onto your laptop. And then from your laptop, you can work on it. And then say you get home from your trip and you got to do some more on your desktop. That's when you would copy that catalog and style file back to the desktop folder and then overwrite it. So then it updates.
Okay.
So there's no massive like cloud saves or anything right now.
That leads me to another one. Say that
Okay.
like when I was culling, I'm like, you know what? I don't actually want this photo with the videographer in it.
Mm-hmm. You want to like
Photo.
delete them? Yeah. So we warn you that we'll delete it from your disk. We don't, because it's Google Chrome, it doesn't have the ability to move it to a trash can. So
Got it.
we will delete it if you really want to, or hide it. And when you hide it, in the bottom, there's a little eye icon, and that'll show you all the hidden photos. And these ones are not going to be processed by AI or anything like that. You can import and edit as much as you want. It's unlimited. You only pay for what you export. So right now we're about 5 cents per export. And then we do have like unlimited monthly or like a yearly unlimited founders plan. So once we hit those thresholds for 500 subscribers, then we'll remove that founders deal, and then you'll have that like grandfathered in forever or the life of your account. So it's pretty good considering, like, you know, if you're paying for the Lightroom subscription and then on top of that, like Imagine monthly or Aftershoot monthly, then it starts to add up. Whereas like Polarr Next is all in one. And then we didn't even touch on also, we do have culling coming out as well. So that's a whole nother, I know you use Photo Mechanic. So, and that's totally fine. It'll bring in all your ratings and star ratings and stuff like that. But be really cool to see what your thoughts are on the culling as well once that gets shipped out and everything. So
yeah, I would love to test that out because I hate culling. So if I can get AI to do my culling for me, that would be wonderful.
Oh man, yeah. And you know, I will say this too, you know, that's one thing we learned from a lot of users is they do like, you know, AI helping with culling, but they haven't fully trusted it to where you can just click a button and then it's just magically the best images. Because, you know, I've used Aftershoot a lot and it never works like that, because there are images that will get rejected or whatever. But what we found is like people love the speed of how fast these applications can be. Like, I mean, you use Photo Mechanic, so it's really fast to go through. But, you know, what we're looking at is being able to group your scenes. So like, you know, I shot like a 6,000 image wedding the other day, and it grouped them down to like 1,500 scenes. And then it felt much faster going through, and I can find the AI will rank the best ones from that scene. And then I can easily just select them and then just move on. So
yeah, that sounds nice.
We'll be really curious to see what you think about that. All right. Before we wrap up and say goodbye, is there anything else you would like to say about Polarr Next, or for those who might be hesitant about using a program like this, anything you'd like to share?
I'm really excited to start using it more. I think that I didn't expect it to feel as fast and as easy as it did when I'm so set in my ways on editing. So I am really looking forward to like creating it as a part of my workflow.
Sweet. Awesome. And along the journey, if you have any questions, just don't hesitate to reach out. You encounter any bugs or have any feature requests, we'll get that, you know, sent to the right people, and maybe we can adjust any of those. So, all right, McKenna, thank you so much for meeting with me today and, you know, going through this first impressions with Polarr Next, and hopefully get to connect with you in the future.
Amazing. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you for tuning into the Polarr Next channel. It was a pleasure to have McKenna share her valuable insights with us. And if you enjoyed this interview and found McKenna's thoughts inspiring, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any of our upcoming content. We've got more exciting interviews and explorations of how Polarr Next is transforming the editing workflow. We'll see you on the next one.